The bull market will end on this date is the topic of today's video as we go into some very long-term price action analysis based off of actually one of the only people that I follow on Twitter who also does analysis on Bitcoin. And I wanted to challenge my own view of when this bull market is likely to end, as I've been saying that there is, if Bitcoin continues in May to new highs, a very likely chance that Bitcoin sees its highs in 2024. Now, I wanted to challenge that, and we're just going to go over some data here. And at the end of the day, the data is what the data is. So let's just jump right into it. Starting off with first, the credit for this idea, which is from Peter Brandt. He made this Twitter post, which was essentially outlining the prior cycles in terms of low to halving and then halving to high. So I've gone through and I've done a little bit more on top of this because there's no point in just copying someone if you're not going to add something to it. And in this case, we're going to start off with the first cycle here in 2010 to 2011, where Bitcoin finds its parabolic blow off top at the end of, or in about summer of 2011. And from there until the next major low, Bitcoin puts in a low in October of 2011. Now, we're going to specifically measure the time from that low, the ultimate low of that cycle, to the halving, which is represented by the green vertical bar right here, which was 58 total bars, which were on a weekly time frame. So 58 weeks basically are 406 days. From the halving to the next blow off top, ending in 2013, was another 52 bars, or 364 days, basically a full-on year. So just keep this in the back of your mind's eye. Again, 58 bars versus 52 bars. Very similar numbers here, you might say. And also do take note that these numbers are declining from the low to halving and then halving to high. So 58 versus 52. It was less. That's what I'm trying to say. Then Bitcoin plays another parabolic blow off top in 2013, resulting in a low in January of 2015. From that time until the next green vertical bar representing the halving was 77 bars, or 539 days. Okay, interesting. Definitely a different number than what we did see before. Okay, but can we find any sort of correlation here? Well, I would argue that we can. From that time, the halving to the next major parabolic blow off top in 2017 December was 75 bars. Again, note the declining numbers, 77 versus 75. Got a little bit closer to be fair. But again, there was a very obvious relationship. We have 58 versus 52, 77 versus 75 so far. Moving on from there, we have the next cycle, which found its low in December of 2018. From that point until the next halving, green vertical bar here, 74 bars. Okay, interesting. From that green vertical bar to the next all-time high was 78 bars. Actually did increase right here, to be fair. 518 days versus 546 days. Maybe, possibly, the high took longer because of some sort of black swan that happened in between there. I don't know. Maybe Rona had something to do with that. Don't fucking know. But that was something that was a little bit different about that cycle ultimately. And again, we see the same sort of relationship between all three of these prior cycles. 58 versus 52, 77 versus 75, 74 versus 78. All very close to each other within, less than 10 bars, like six bars at most. So what can we draw from that for our current cycle? Because we already have the low in, or very likely the low. I mean, it depends on who you ask, right? But I would argue that you have the low in for this cycle. Coming in from November of 2022. And from that point until the halving, which happened on April 24th, was 73 bars. So I would argue that if you're going to be going off of this prior relationship, then we would be expecting that the next high would be somewhere around 70 bars away from that time, of which that would theoretically put us out into August of 2025. So that is significantly different than actually what I was expecting. Now, of course, just because it's happened in the past doesn't mean that's going to happen in the future, but it is something to be going off of. And well, so far we haven't seen really a deviation from this. So is it wise to be discounting something that has not been ultimately disproven just yet and has worked flawlessly throughout the history of Bitcoin? That's a question for you. Anyways, in this case, I would say that maybe there is some validity to that. We probably see the high, if you're going to be going off of this, we probably see the highs around summer of next year, 2025. Fair enough. Could be. I mean, it wouldn't be super crazy as far as I'm concerned. I mean, that would be very much in alignment with, I think, closer with what a lot of people expect is they expect highs in late 2025. This would be more like Q3 of 2025. Not significantly different, but kind of we saw that in the past as well in 2021. Many, myself included, were looking for highs a little bit after November of 2021, which is not what we got. We got the highs a little bit earlier than what people expected. Same thing in 2017. People were looking for the market to continue. I mean, people were just looking for the market to continue for forever on that one, I feel like. And it did obviously end in December of 2017. And then 2013 cycle over here, I wasn't around during that time, so I can't speak to that. But yeah, for these price cycles, it does kind of pass the general shit test of does this even make sense? So fair enough. Maybe something to be considering, as basically that would suggest that we are just beyond the halfway point of this current cycle. Anyways, that is the major content of the day. I would say that if you do find this content valuable or compelling or enticing, or even if you fucking hate it, consider liking and subscribing, because it helps out the channel, makes me feel good about myself, and also gets it into your inbox as well in the early morning hours as I like to record these. Anyways, moving on from there, I do want to go into a little bit more short-term for Bitcoin, or relative short-term for Bitcoin. Yesterday, day prior as well, and day prior to that, we were looking for a likely bounce off of mid to upper, more like mid 50s in this case. And we have gotten a pretty phenomenal bounce at that. I did say 61 to 62 was very, very likely. We've already succeeded those targets, already played out. I believe even target 2 of the meta signals. Let me actually just bring this one back up on over here. I'm actually curious where that one is. Okay, so is this one right here? Where is target 2? Yeah, target 2 was 62. 243, and that had a 52% probability. Target 3 is 71, 376. That has a 32% probability. Sorry. 32% probability. Yes. Okay, great. So, it's already hit the first few targets of that one pretty damn fast. Again, MetaSignal still doing their lifetime possibility for subscription. Lifetime possibility for subscription. You can get it for a lifetime for one price rather than paying a monthly subscription. Anyways, shit about that. Shit about that is in the details below. Details below in the shit about that. There's something about it below the video that is playing right here. Anyways, going back into it right here, I would still say that this rally is very likely to continue a little bit more, at least even if you're bullish or bearish, somewhere around the median on the daily HPDR bands for CME, which is at 64,300 almost. Keep in mind, there is a premium over spot price action, but obviously it doesn't trade over the weekends. We are continuing to see volatility collapse on this one, and even the HPDR is turning up here as well. So that's a really good bounce play. So I would be looking for somewhere around there. Very, 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 very likely. Now it already has hit a high of 63,660, so already probably pretty close. But I would still exercise caution on this bounce and not say that this is just a potential for a bear trap as we outlined over the past couple days, but a confirmed bear trap until Bitcoin is back and closing above Tuesday, the 30th of April's high, which is on CME 65,335. For spot price action, I think it's somewhere around 65,000 bucks. So do keep in mind that while price action is probably likely to try a little bit higher, that is where things actually do start to change and get confirmed. I know that, or at least I imagine that the pattern drawers out there are going to be looking at this as a falling pizza. It's kind of a wonky one, I guess, but I guess it kind of works out. Okay, can't really do my lines that well. My lines aren't working today. I drew them 1 degree off. It's wrong. It's the problem with using lines. At some point, it's not objective. It's subjective, especially when you use these diagram ones. For fuck's sake. I mean, it's like, do you draw right here? Okay, do you draw right here? Because that's the difference of $200. It fucking matters. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, bro. Anyways, I'm having an argument with myself because I have some sort of psychological disease. Anyways, so yes, if you're all looking at it like this, technically speaking, you want to actually see it take out Tuesday the 23rd. It's like, I know more about fucking patterns than the people talking about fucking patterns, and I don't even believe that they work all that well, or in this case at all, or anything worth doing. But yeah, it's like people are saying $60,000 is the major area. It's like, no, it's fucking not. Neither is 61. Doesn't fucking matter. Anyways, in the very, very short term here, I would express that over the weekend, probably do see an attempt for a little bit of a weekend pullback after maybe some very slight continuation. But full hour already making new highs on the RSI compared to even the highs that we saw in the 24th, where Bitcoin was trading at 66,000 and a half. So hidden bearish divergence will be possible upon local high confirmation. In this case, how do you confirm a local high? It's not really in there just yet, but back down below about 62,400 or so on a closing basis for a 4-hour time frame. Yeah, I would look at that as actionable. You probably do see another try somewhere around mid to low 60,000 bucks. But if Bitcoin is going to indeed be bullish, you probably would be expecting a bounce there, and you probably would be expecting that bounce to continue upwards and onwards, and at some point next week taking out those highs that we spoke about. If that happens, you're gonna hear me talk about all-time highs as like an actionable thing, not just as like a likely thing more long-term. Looking at the monthly still, or let me actually go over to this chart here. Looking at the monthly still, you know, I really want to express that if you were looking for a bear trap, that was the area to be looking for. You saw the reconnect to the red 5 exponential moving average here on the monthly, and you'd really be expecting Bitcoin to actually engulf the prior month if that is going to be true. I mean, all of the prior times we have seen essentially continuation within 2 months or less to new highs. I mean, new highs on the rally, just by the way, not necessarily new highs, new all-time highs, obviously. But yeah, anyways, so that would be, I guess, latest June. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I think that's going to do it for today's video. I think it's been long enough right here. My camera hasn't shitted out just yet, which is good. So with that said, I'd like to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and fuck you, and see you tomorrow.